Okay, welcome back to Roslyn, everyone. This is our new city on the Roslyn Peninsula map. Um, just excited to be starting over again. If you caught the previous videos, you know a little bit about what we've got going on here. So, as you can see, I've started this residential grid in the hopes that eventually it will just be able to expand as we continue to buy more tiles. We got a little bit of commercial along the main road here. Go ahead and historicize these so they don't end up getting gigantic. Next to the police station, so you're coming in off the freeway here. Obviously, a ton of commercial makes sense. It's also, if we're doing any importing, it's a good place to have it. Those historic too. More commercial right along the front of then these big factory yard setups here, which are designed to give the industrial a little room to grow and breathe, as well as, and once we get some fencing in here, it'll all make a lot more sense. Let's take a look at what's unlocked right now, because eventually we could see about putting one of these plazas in somewhere handy, although we are pretty short on cash for that right now. There's something like the hypermarket even could go in over there or something. Lots of options, but that's going to come when we've got a different kind of setup. Let's check our fire coverage. It's pretty good. We just put in our first fire station right over here. Obviously not as well covered in this industrial area. That's going to be a factor of all of these driveways through here. But also just that industrial uses are going to have higher fire hazard than a lot of residential zones. Okay, here comes the truck. We've got the new vehicles of the world, so looks like we got a new kind of truck here. Large fire engine. Go ahead and check what our models are here. I'm fine with random on that. We did set the police cars back to just the normal ones, because I don't want the cops having mobile command centers running around and supercars. We just don't need that in this kind of city. Oh, we've got some sewage issues. Yep, we're up against our availability on that. That's fine, because we planned for a substantial sewage treatment plant down here. We can go ahead and just drop this in. And we'll just reconnect that power for now. This is here. I would like to move this coal plant probably over just to this next square here, just so we have a little bit of differentiation between what's going on. And because I would like to save that area for recycling more broadly. So, there we go. And that's fine. We'll have a ton of pollution over here, but it is what it is. And we can actually fill in some industrial zoning like I have here to create more of a look as we need to. So right now we have a ton of residential demand. Let's go ahead and try and get some more lots zoned here so we can have that start to fill in. An interesting break in our pattern here. Which is fine. It'll make the fencing situation there a little strange, but I think we'll be able to make it work. And then we're starting to get into the fertile lands over here. We can go ahead and pop one more right there. Do this. There we go. Fires down here now. See, this is what I was worried about, but we've got good coverage. See, stuff's making its way down here. That's already out. The big thing is we just don't want to see the fires spread. Seems like we're doing okay. Good coverage on that. Let's check our education. So we're short one spot right now, which means we can just boost that up a little bit. Did mean to take these down, because these will be early on, especially some of your biggest expenses is going to be your city services. So we'll go ahead and see. We got 3 engines there. And we're waiting for our next milestone at 1400. Tempted to put some residential right in here too. Originally I was going to save this for a park, but now I think this might really be where the park goes. Go ahead and check on our recycling. Yeah, we definitely could use another one of these once we've got the money for it. In the meantime, go ahead and boost that budget up and see if that makes a difference here. I'm going to go ahead and throw it into 3-speed just so we can try to keep the cash coming in a little more quickly now for development reasons. Obviously I'm going to need some water down here. There we go. Getting lots of commercial demand now. There's some of that down in here. Strange. Okay, that'll work. Go ahead and leave that in store size so we can level up so we don't just end up with a ton of bookstores there. That's going to give us an identical build right next door. So, yep, I'm not a big fan of that. So we'll leave that ahistoric. Okay. And residential's popping again now. Go ahead and extend this out. And complete that block there. You can see this is bigger than these other blocks as well. That's on purpose because I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty substantial road sometime in the future. We're going to want to be able to get agricultural output over to our industrial zone, and we just need to plan to have more connectors in here eventually. So I think that that's a good start there. This wants to be gigantic, these blocks here, which I'm not as crazy about, but it might be time to reorient. Could... We just do that at the 7 that it was, but we don't want that. We want a nice big block right there. So we have room to build off of later on. And then we can start our 7 blocks down here again. Yep, and that's what we want to see. It's just nice, clean squares. So we're just going to check the terrain. We've got plenty of room to grow out here. No problem at all. Just waiting for that money to tick over. There we go. And we can start running some water out here too, I believe. This is a lot of the game, is just waiting for the money to catch up to your development, especially early on. You know, we're barely 1,000. Take time for these things to tick up and fill in. Might actually be better served coming off of here. Yep. Like that. And then we can do everything up to there. So I want to try and space this just like we have it up there. So it looks like 3 is the way to go. And then we're just doing these little 2x3 lots with a space in between them, so we can come back through and add some fencing later. As we all know, good fences make good neighbors. You know, early on we're going to see a ton of residential demand. Just trying to keep up with that, I think, is the big goal at this point. Make sure we've got power down here. There we go. And that didn't, yep, that'll be fine like that for now. You can go ahead and put some more commercial in right there. That's fine like that. Oh, that will have to back off a little bit because we are going to want to put a playground right there. So sorry to that homeowner. And I may want to put a plaza on this side too, so we may want to back these out. Okay, I think we can go ahead and zone this out now. Just building out this residential neighborhood down here. Let's see how much, you know, putting it in 3-speed really helps the financial situation in the short term as you're building. We'll go ahead and make sure all of our street names make sense. That's all Summit Drive. That's City Street. That's Robin Grove. So we were working off of old-timey women's names alphabetically. So I think we want to keep that going. That's Middle Street. Phillips. So we got Annabelle, Bonnabelle, Clementine, Dolores, Edith, Felicity. This is going to be Gina, which is going to be our major road later on. So EFGH. I think that would mean that this should be, well, technically that is Factory Street. So I think we'll go ahead and extend that, and then we'll start here with Helena. And that's all middle, but I want to bring that back there. And good eye name. Isabel? keeping with our bell theme as well, names with bells in them. And we can extend those blocks over, obviously, which will be a nice thing to do. I think this should probably be Summit Boulevard. Mess with our naming conventions a little bit as those crossing roads, which would make this... I'm not sure what to do with that yet. I might just leave it as middle for now, because it is in the middle of this zone, which makes sense. This was going to be a block of commercial right here, but the problem is came in just with 2 buys, which really limits the variety of commercial activity we'll see. So, this might just become a park zone to walk across there from the residential neighborhood, which is fine. I don't have any problem with that. In fact, we may just throw down one more house right there, where we can here. This can be a lot right here. We'll see what happens with these eventually, but for now at least, this works. We're going to try and keep residential off of Gina, but I think we can continue to build out down here. Okay, that'll be fine. We are going to want to think about parks down through here eventually. So I'm going to have to see, should have done it right here. Just to get that water coverage nice and tight. We are going to try to keep pipes mostly under the road here. You know, I know that's the idea, is that's where they belong, and I agree with that for the most part. I think the exception would be in a situation like this, where there's not going to be any development along this road, and if you need to work on these pipes, you're not going to want to tear up this road to do so. So, in a situation like that, I think it's a little different. We maybe could use another water thing out here, just to continue tapping this mountain stream. Go. We'll have a little redundancy there. And you don't have to do this, but I do like to have the roads serving these things. Okay. Continue to fill in the residential through here. Just nice little 2x3 lots. Except that's really going to throw off. Hold on. I may need to back these out for a second. Try this from the other side to see if we can get... There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Better space. They're going to line up all the way across. That's much better, yep. Okay, and that's going to be an interesting block right there. And that's fine, because that could end up being another throughway for some farm output. Okay, so we wrote the HI. We need a J name. I think we'll call this. Oops. Nope. Jacqueline. Street. H-I-J-K. This can be Christina. JKL. We'll go for Lydia. And then M. But this is already City Street, so we'll go ahead and just extend that over. And that is now Elizabeth Street instead of Middle Street. We want to continue middle down here so it reads as one street. Here we go. And then I'm fine now zoning these back in. Trying to meet this residential demand, and we're just going to try to go like a block at a time here because I don't want to overload it. That's really key. This needs to go. Why that ended up there, that should not be zoned. Okay. Continuing to meet the residential demand. We've got a crime situation there. You know, we did put our police station way up here. I think that was when I still had the police budget set to 100, so I would rather have that down here somewhere. Somewhere a little more centrally located. I think that's a pretty good spot for now. And that's just going to make a difference for police coverage. Okay, our demand meter is getting pretty balanced now. I do want to go ahead and expand Summit here. There we go. Question is, don't really have any room for development there on Robin due to what we've done with the industrial zone there. I can't go ahead and fill these in though, I think. Trying to keep up with residential or industrial demand as well. Go ahead and historicize these, make sure these are historic so we're not going to see a ton of changes aesthetically. Do need to remember, in fact, I think we'll go ahead and take this big loan because we're doing fine budget-wise right now. We do have needs for garbage processing. And that's going to need water, which is fine. Go ahead and run that down just a little ways there. We're close to our peaked out power there. We're fine on water and sewage. You know, those are okay. Population, unemployment's really low. Education, we could use some more capacity there, so we can bump the budget on that. Let's check our traffic. It's fine. Garbage, there we go. That's what I was looking for. We're way up in the green on that now. We're gonna bump the budget on education. See if that does anything for us. Yep, that gives us plenty of capacity now to continue educating. We're fine on heal capacity. I want to make sure the budget's turned way down on that because you can really easily overdo it. I'm going to go ahead and throw the budget down on a couple of other things here. Even nighttime. You know, we're not playing day-night cycle right now, but when we do switch over, it'd be good to have these things equalized, relatively speaking. You know, you don't even necessarily need them equalized. We can bump that back down to 95. We'll leave that at 101. That should be fine. You know, obviously we want our nighttime power to be higher because there's going to be more electricity use. Don't need to spend money on schools at night. And I think that's everything we can play with at this point, so that's fine. So now we got quite a bit of cash in the bank to play with. And it's going to keep growing here as we continue to try and meet these demands. zoning is one of the cheapest ways to pass time as you wait for your budget surplus to come in. It's really handy. Now, why is this still doing it? I get really frustrated sometimes with that, where you undo the zoning, but it does not actually go away. I'm not sure what to do about that sometimes. Just one of those glitches in the game, I guess. Okay, that's coming along nicely. You know, I think what we're going to do with this big triangle right here is the next big question. Because we can just extend these straight over. See how that looks. Because we can come in some weird spots here. But it is potentially more residential zone to develop with. Or another potential option here would be to cut this. And not crazy about that. There we go, just a little curve to it. Breaking up the grid just a little bit. And then we'll just go ahead and make sure our street names are extended. Lena extends. We want Jacqueline to extend. And we want Christina to extend. Okay. That's Briar Rose Street right now. I guess I'm okay with that. Who knows what'll go in right there. But hypothetically, now we could zone this in with more residential if that ends up being where our demand is. I think out here we're going to want some commercial to continue this commercial strip here. But I think this is going to be a park zone over here. It'll be all through there. With a little corner store right there. Going in by the cops here too. That's all popping right up. Perfect. Yeah, we do want to historicize this stuff just so it doesn't end up turning into huge buildings. Because that's the thing about the commercial. Oh my god, this is all the same thing. Go ahead and delete those for now, because we don't need 4 fry guys right next to each other. And as long as you still have demand, you'll be fine. Here we go. Neighborhood shop. Getting real close to our 1400 goal now. That's much better. I love that as an engineer look. Great, well, 2 of them next to each other, a little different color situation. That's fine, because that's something you really could see in the real world, I think. Okay, this is coming in right here. Yep, I think that all looks good. See if we've got water down here now. We do. Pretty much all the way down to there. We'll go ahead and run a pipe along City Street. Because then we can connect this up. And then obviously we want to do something in there as well. I think go like this. Like that. That should work. We could actually turn down our water budget. It's already bottomed out, that's fine. Okay. You know, it might be nice to do a bike path along Gina eventually. On this other side here, we could do an elevated, dedicated facility. even if we widen the street. We're trying to just give ourselves plenty of room to play with as the city continues to grow and develop. In the meantime, we're trying to meet some more residential demand here in these nice little blocks. There's one of those. See this guy right here? He's past his lot yard boundary, which I hate. But we're not going to worry about that and think until we get into the fencing part of this, because that's when that's really going to matter. Question is where to put more commercial. I think out here makes a lot of sense. We want to leave some room for a path there, I think. So maybe a couple of paths. I think all this right here can go commercial. Ooh, there we go. Okay, that unlocks a lot. So now we've got park areas, industry areas, landscaping, a bunch of policies, leisure services, that means parks, industry areas. So we can start playing around with some of the resource extraction. Fishing is there now. Some more unique buildings, and then a ton of policies we've unlocked. So that might be a good place to start. Let's take a look at some policies. So we want smoke detector distribution. That's going to help with reducing the risk of fire. Parks and Rec is a good one. I don't think we need it just yet. It's really more something you could come through and do once a place is already developed. Schools out is fine. Are fine. We haven't logged any city planning yet or tax planning. This is all for sports stuff. So I'm not going to worry about that. So we just threw smoke detector distribution on. We can check our budget, income versus expenses. You can see the bulk of it there is residential tax income, most of it from level 1 and some level 2 houses now, about 2-to-1 ratio there. Lots of level 1 commercial, level 1 industrial, and obviously we're not getting anything on transit yet as we haven't really unlocked that. But this is a great chance to place those parks we wanted to. So we want to put a small playground right by the elementary school here. That's going to help with land value. And then I think we can do a plaza right across the street by the medical center there. Down here, we may bring a road in behind that fire station there to make this work. Oh, you can hear a lot of leveling up happening over there. Okay, let's go ahead and restore size this stuff. Think about, that's not going to be big enough. We can barely get a plaza in there. Which we may do. There we go. Go ahead and upgrade this road as well. Except we can't now. Let's go ahead and back that out for a second. Upgrade that. And then see if we can't pop that right back in. Yep. It's fine. We may have to move that again when we do Factory Street. Oh, we do have industrial roads now. So yeah, we're going to pass it out one time and just upgrade this. Although, I mean, it would make sense to have this still be asphalt, I think. Especially now that it's all commercial along there. And then we can do space already occupied. So we would have to get rid of this guy. And that's fine with me. Go ahead and throw these industrial roads down through here. The big thing that's going to do is help truck traffic move through here a little more quickly. Go ahead and leave those driveways all dirt, because I don't necessarily want to signalize everything, or to put these crosswalks down through all of that. Sometimes it's better. Okay. It's all looking pretty good now. We can think about where we want to put some more parks. Now, obviously, there's some need up here. Can put a plaza in. Maybe in the shadow of the water tower here, where that police station used to be. You can see the area effect on that's pretty large. And that'll still leave us a little room to do some fencing around the water tower. And then maybe a nice big playground over here. And it would be great to throw in a couple of tennis or basketball courts coming off of here maybe. I don't know if we'll be able to get that in. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, I think we could get 2 tennis courts in right there. Beautiful. So now we get a nice little park zone coming in up here. Go ahead and mark some of these out now. Oh god, we're very low on electricity. Bump that up. See how that does. There we go. Everybody's fine. Okay, I think that's our first not enough educated employees sign. Which is fine. You know, I think we're getting to that phase where we'll want to look at a high school, but you see we're having some budget balance right now as things just sort of equalize. Let's see where that's coming from. I mean, obviously we're going to be spending, we added a ton to a park budget there. We're spending a ton on those smoke detectors. They are going to help keep fire coverage costs low, but it is 5 cents a building, which is quite a bit. It is our biggest expense right now, which I'm not a fan of. 5 cents a building. I mean, it adds up so quickly, you see here, and it's making the difference on the budget for us at this point. Question is, what do we do about it? Can we get back into the green? Let's just see what happens with that, because we still have a ton of residential demand. Go ahead and fill some more of that in down here, I think. Okay, just trying to get tax revenue up then too, because we know that residential right now is our that's our tax base for the most part. Because we're just going to have more residential zoning than anything else, is really a lot of what that comes down to. Okay, those will fill in. Try and mark out a couple more park areas that I know I'm going to want here. This little triangle situation, as well as this over here is going to be parky. We'll rename these in a second. I think this could very well be a park right here too. So I think this is going to be, obviously we want to take those down, although we don't have any gates in here at this point. That would be charging people. It is a good way to get cash out of your parks if you're worried about it. The Spiffing Brit has a great video about how to use the park tolls to really maximize your income, if that's what you're interested in. Let's see. I'll go ahead and rename this Phillips Gardens for Phillips Street there. Say this was some kind of donation to the city from the Phillips family. Did I spell it right? 2 L's? Yep. And Summit Gardens, no, I think we want to call this Um, maybe we'll call it the Briar Rose Triangle for Briar Rose Street right there. Triangle. Okay. There we go. Great. So let's check what our baseline Water Tower Park entertainment is at 2. That's not great. Which is a bummer because there is a lot in here already, you can see. This on the freeform. There. Yep, like that. We'll switch over to our, with the lights on there. Okay. Let's go ahead and straighten this out. Go. Some nice park activity. We can go ahead and drop a gate in here somewhere too. Wherever that might be a good spot. I kind of like that. Obviously we want somewhere with like good parking. You know, it makes sense to have parking there. I'm not going to really be able to get the gate or the fencing in back there if we do that there. Also go with one of these and then... Yep. And that's going to start our park zone for us. Ooh, that's... Wait and see. I mean, that's not good placement for if we're actually wanting through traffic here. If we're worried about actually getting attendance at this park, putting these in right here would be a difference maker. Potentially. Bring this up like straight. Like that. So then anybody who goes through this little back path right here is going to be adding to our park entry total, which is good. That's what we want to see. Okay. We got an abandoned property down here. That was where we saw the desire for more educated employees. So we just didn't have that yet, which is fine. Let's check our unemployment level. It's up to 7. There's like 60 jobs available right now. We're definitely seeing some early, you know, the demand for industrial is happening. Speaking of which, we can go ahead and zone out some of our industrial space too. We know this is going to be very farmy down here. The Fairview sector. And then obviously we could do a ton with timber over here. So go ahead and mark those out because I think this whole forest, I'm very conflicted about whether to save this for residential development, because I think it would be very pretty up here, or to turn it into a forest. But I think honestly, could do both. We could have some industrial, because turning this all into industrial is going to create such a huge demand for workers, but it's going to make sense to have some residential up in there probably. Okay. So, in the meantime, figure out how we want to play with that farm space. I've got 1 square available. I think that makes the most sense. Obviously we want to get like over here and this too eventually. I'm not even sure I'm ready for that yet. Still in the red, barely. Just go ahead and bring this down. There. Okay, so that's our Fairfield Road, which I think makes sense to have the farms on that. Let's grow for now, which kind of makes sense, I guess, because we could do some groves of trees over here and some fields over here. I may just keep it dirt for now. Just for an aesthetic reason. Obviously we can come through and change that later. But for now, we're looking for this. Okay. Put this farmhouse in somewhere out here, probably on a good dead spot. There we go. Just a little bit because it would be nice to make this connection. There we go. Oh, except I'd love for these two. We need water out here, obviously. And that'll be true for our grow-ops as well. So we'll go ahead and extend that down. Do a little autosave. Like that. Okay. And we'll want to run power, obviously, as well. For now, we'll just throw a temporary line right here. Okay, so that'll start to take shape now. I'm actually going to take a quick break. Before I do, I'm just going to zone in a little more residential down here, so maybe we can watch that develop while I am AFK. I'm going to go ahead and slow down time too, just because we are still losing money. I'd like to stop that. See if we can't make a difference here by getting some of the residential tax base up. Okay, so let that play out for now. Yeah, let's just watch for a sec and see what happens.